Feels amazing. Look at the city, man. They all showed up. They all showed up.
6-11 year ago.
Starting to heat up, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the most creative scores in the W.
Starting to go on a rampage here. They've cut it to 5.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Mike on the Mic and everything Chicago sports-related podcast. Today is September 11, 2023, Monday, a very gloomy and stormy Monday morning. We got a lot of things to talk about. We just finished up our Chicago Bears post-game recap. Not a victory Monday by any means, but it was a win in itself. We got some good news. The Chicago Cubs are calling up number 1 prospect in the Cubs system and number 12 prospect in all of baseball, Pete Crow-Armstrong, outfielder from the Iowa Cubs. You love to see it. I mean, this is something that we've just been waiting 2.5 years for. We're starting to finally see the pieces that Jed Hoyer put together when he traded away the core in 2021. This is exactly what we need right now. This is exactly what we've been waiting for. Chicago Cubs are in a race right now for a playoff spot and to potentially win the NL Central. You know, it took a rough weekend to really, get our heads straight, to really say, listen, we have an opportunity here to be the best versions of ourselves, and we are squandering it. That's really where we're at. So bringing up PCA, obviously Alexander Canario didn't get the opportunity that we expected him to. I think it's going to be very different with PCA. PCA was absolutely phenomenal with the Chicago Cubs organization on all levels, South Bend, Tennessee Smokies, and then obviously with the Iowa Cubs. I was down there this weekend covering them as in the press box with media, representing the All Sports, All Plays Network. It was a lot of fun. I got to see PCA in person, got to talk to him a little bit and just really pick his brain and talk to a couple other guys as well. Got to see our guys that have been on the show before, Matt Mervis, Ben Brown, Riley Thompson, Brennan Davis, and a few others. Jared Young, a bunch of guys who have just been so amazing to us and so amazing on the show. It's a blast, and hopefully one day we'll be having Pete Crow-Armstrong join the show as well at some point, but I think it's going to be harder than ever now. I tried over the weekend. It wasn't going. They're very locked in on him just focusing on baseball right now, not as much with media. So completely understandable. But what this means for the Chicago Cubs moving forward is everything. Like I talked about, you're starting to finally see the pieces of the Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez deal. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing it, and it's becoming real. And right now, when you see guys like, let's say, for example, the Jordan Wickses of the world, who are homegrown talents, the Matt Mervises of the world, that's amazing. And I love that. But when you're starting to see, hey, we let the 2016 core go. What did we get in return? Kevin Alcantara right now is in Double-A. Looks phenomenal. The Jaguar, he's absolutely incredible. But when are we going to see him in the bigs? Now we're starting to see the pieces. Now we're starting to see, hey, look, these guys are actually going out here. We saw Alexander Canario get called up. We saw Caleb Killian get called up. Pete Crow-Armstrong being the biggest face of that in the Javier Baez deal with the Mets, which I still can't believe we got PCA out of that for a rental. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. This is going to be big for the Cubs. This is a guy who has already won a championship in Double-A, with the South Bend Cubs. This is a guy who's already won a Gold Glove in the minors. He's one of the most electrifying guys in all of minor league baseball, next to Ellie De La Cruz. I'm excited to see that version of him in the big leagues. This is a guy who I believe can steal over We talked about the other day about how Cody Bellinger is the fourth Cub in Chicago Cubs history to have over 25 home runs and over 20 stolen bases. I think with PCA being in the lineup in 2024, I think we can expect around the same. Maybe the home runs are a little less, maybe they're a little over. But I think when he becomes exactly who we know he can be, I think he is a step under Ronald Acuna Jr. I really do. And maybe he can even get to that step if he continues to develop. But that's really the kind of guy I see from him. I mean, he is an absolute stud. He is a mixture of Acuna and Cody Bellinger, if I had to give a comp. But I really love what we see from him. And the future's here. This is the face of our franchise, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kid. Now, I do think there are a couple questions. You know what I mean? Like, he's young. He's a young kid. He's very cocky. He's very engulfed in his talent and how raw he is. And I love that, but I also want to see the discipline and I want to see the work and I want to see him putting in as much effort as possible. I'm not saying that's not how he is, you know what I mean? But you never know with young guys. You got to see how they adjust to the MLB. You got to see how they adjust to being at the show. And me covering him for the last 2.5 years, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be able to adjust at a good level. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited for what this means moving forward. For the Chicago Cubs and for what this could potentially bring for the playoffs. I mean, when you really look at it for what it is, you have 3 Gold Glove outfielders now on this lineup. Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, and Pete Crow-Armstrong. And the others are Mike Tauchman and Seiya Suzuki, and they're no scrubs. You know what I mean? They're pretty solid at what they do. And that's really just what it is. But I'm excited. I think this is going to be huge for the Chicago Cubs organization moving forward. I think this is going to be a big part of what helps them get over the hump. You need a young gun on this lineup. You need a young gun on this roster. Now, I understand Rossi loves his veterans. Rossi trusts his guys, and that's what it is. But I do expect at one point for the PCA switch to just be there. September might be a little different. We might not see him every day. We might not see him starting in center field. They probably will rotate him and Belly. I would imagine. I'd say you put Belly at first and PCA in center, or maybe you DH PCA and give Christopher Morel a few more off days because David Ross loves to give fucking Christopher Morel off days. Part of my language, but it's the most frustrating thing in the world. Like, Christopher Morel has played less than 100 games this season for the Cubs. Hasn't been injured, but just either did not play or he hadn't been down in Iowa. He has over 20 home runs on the year. Could you imagine if he played 120 to 140 games? Could you imagine? This is a guy who could hit 30 to 40 home runs a year if you give him the opportunity. Now, maybe he's slugging 250, 260, but at the end of the day, come on. You got to play the kid. And I think you're going to see the same thing with PCA. I think you're going to slowly see him weaned into it. I'm going to call it right now. I think his first at-bat's a home run. I do. You've seen former Cubs do it before. The last Chicago Cub to make his rookie debut in Colorado was Javier Baez. So I'm really excited to see what could potentially happen in this one. But I think his first MLB at bat, I think PCA is going to hit a home run against the Colorado Rockies. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good weekend of baseball and a good week of baseball. It's going to be so much fun to see him against Pittsburgh for the season finale at home, the homestand finale until the playoffs or the regular season. And it's just going to be interesting. I was talking to my guy, PA announcer Jeremiah Paparaki today. He's hype about it. Lance Brozdowski, Cubs analyst at Marquee, super hype about it. Everybody's been waiting for this. We've all been talking about it. We've all been waiting for the moment that the Chicago Cubs are going to bring these guys up. And we're finally starting to see it. Brennan Davis is starting to look a lot better. Matt Mervis is looking better. These guys in the minors, Ben Brown and company, Riley Thompson, they're looking good. They're looking good and they're getting better. You got guys in lower levels like James Triantos, Kevin Alcantara, BJ Murray. The list goes on. Guys, Cade Horton, guys who are looking good. And I'm excited to see them continue to grow, continue to get better, and continue to be the best versions of themselves. It's going to be really exciting. I keep saying that. I keep reiterating that. And it's so much different than my last video, so I'll take it. I think one of the big things for me is what's he going to impact to getting playoff experience. And I think getting that playoff experience on top of your first MLB experience is a lot to take in. So I'm not trying to put too much pressure on him right now. My guy Frankie C says Cubs call up young and old stud Frankie C. Yeah, Frankie's my guy. Frankie's in the comments right now. Diehard diehard Patriots fan. I know yesterday was crazy, but with that being said, before we get out of here, because we don't have too much to talk about on PCA, I expect a lot. I expect to see progress. I expect to see exactly what we've been seeing in the minor leagues. I expect to see everything we've been talking about and raving about since he got here. And I expect nothing less. When you are the number one prospect in baseball, I understand there are going to be positives and negatives because it's baseball. You know what I mean? If you pass 30% of the time, you're elite. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. You know what I mean? You can strike out 70% of the time. As long as you have a 300 batting average, you're elite. So baseball is a very different sport. But, you want to see him come out hot out the gate. You want to see him show that, hey, I can be a part of this everyday roster. Not only be a part of it, but actually benefit and be a bigger piece than most people are. I could see him pushing out a guy like Mike Tauchman, Patrick Wisdom, potentially Christopher Morel, just for playing spots right now. Next year it'll be different because he'll have an everyday starting spot if he's fully healthy and ready to go. But until then, man, it's going to be a lot of fun watching him grow and develop. I believe he makes his debut Tuesday with the team. Until then, I'll check you guys out later. If you're new here, hit that follow button. We always rock out Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Hawks. You can follow me on TikTok at theshy.kid or on Instagram at theshy.kid for all of our pre and post game interviews with the Chicago Sky, Cubs, and so many others. You can follow us on the All Sports All Plays Network, on Roku TV, Apple TV, social media accounts being Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Mainly YouTube and Facebook is where I would rock out with it. But that's just me personally. But if you go somewhere else, got it there too. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. This is Mike Hughes from Mike on the Mic. Peace. Go Cubs, baby.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.